Howdy, my name is Dolly. For Twilight is a big staple for a lot of 2000s kids' childhoods, as it was a huge phenomenon. You could not go 5 feet without seeing a Team Edward or Jacob shirt. Edward practically lived in Hot Topic for a long time. You go to get yourself a bottle of water, bam, they've taken over the water supply. Not to mention its many iconic lines.
Better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Even though 2000s tweens loved Twilight, it also came with its fair share of haters, with glittery vampire memes, Mary Sue accusations of the main character Bella Swan, and much more. It's safe to say that feelings were strong about Twilight from both sides. After the final movies came out, Twilight started to die out, and everyone kind of forgot about it. But I've noticed that recently, Twilight's been having a bit of a comeback. Ever since I made that little Twilight animation a while ago, Twilight has been in the back of my mind, refusing to leave me alone. And I made the recent discovery about myself that I really like vampires. So I have a lot to say about you. Especially since I'm writing a vampire romance of my own, so I think it's good to look at what not to do.
I like watching you sleep.
And while season might have passed, it's still season, so close enough. That joke was funnier in my head. So I wanted to see how well the Twilight Saga has aged over the years. Spoiler warning, not well. And of course, I'll be making some Twilight art while I talk. Also, by the way, if you like Twilight, that's cool. Just know that I will be goofing on it some in this video. The original. The first Twilight movie is definitely the most iconic one out of all of them by far. This is the one with the cool blue filter that none of the rest of them have, interestingly. I also personally believe that this is the funniest out of all of the movies. Our main protagonist, Bella Swan, moves to Forks, a small rainy town in Washington, to live with her dad. Possibly the only sane person in town, Charlie Swan. She does this because her mom is dating a baseball player and they're planning on moving, so Bella just decides to go live with her dad. She's super uncomfortable in this new town, she doesn't know any of the kids, but that doesn't stop every guy she meets in the school from immediately being attracted to her.
Man, my homegirl Bella.
Oh, your homegirl.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
Huh? But it seems like it's not just the humans who notice her.
Brother,
I'm sorry, but his face here kills me. Like, is she stinky? What is that? What is he thinking here? Ladies and gentlemen, what Edward was thinking. So, there's a whole book solely dedicated to Edward's perspective, so if you've ever wondered what his constipated face meant, now you know. I originally picked up this book because I heard it was going to be turned into an animated series, so I was very interested in what it was all about. What about Edward's perspective was so different that it could warrant its own show? Boy howdy, is it something. Anytime there's a scene in the Twilight movies that has something unique about it from Edward's perspective, I will mention it briefly. So, for example, with this scene, Edward was thinking, I knew what would happen now. The girl would have to come sit beside me, and I would have to kill her. The innocent bystanders in this classroom, 18 other children and 1 man, could not be allowed to leave, having seen what they would soon see. I had never killed innocents, and now I plan to slaughter 20 of them at once. The face of the monster in my reflection mocked me. Then he makes like a whole step-by-step plan on who he's gonna kill first. I'll just leave that there.
Stop it. Get some help.
With that begins the romance of Edward Cullen and Bella Swan.
Hi.
I know I'm not the first person to say this, but Edward and Bella do not have any chemistry, and I don't know if they even like anything about each other other than, he's a sexy immortal vampire, and she stinks so good and I can't hear her thoughts. Oh, yeah, every vampire has a special ability only they can do, and Edward's is reading minds. But for some reason, he can't read Bella's.
From the magic within our hearts.
What? It's never explained why he can't hear her thoughts. In fact, she's immune to all vampire powers. It is said in Midnight Sun that Edward also has trouble hearing her dad Charlie's thoughts, but not to the extent of Bella. He can just get the general vibe of Charlie's thoughts. Any interaction between Bella and Edward in this movie is either them fighting or Edward just saying,
"We shouldn't be friends,"
and Bella just not listening. Bella starts to notice that there's something not quite right about Edward. His eyes change color.
Yeah, I know. It's the fluorescence.
Pretty girls walk like this.
He's able to stop a truck from hitting her. And then he gaslights her about it the whole time. She's like, "Why did you save me?" And he just says,
"No way. Made up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened."
He's conveniently there to save her from some creeps. And he sits down really weird. Why is he doing that with his fingers? And he creepily watches her sleep. So she decides to do some research on Google. That's right.
You can Google it.
And Google it she did. I just love that. No secret old book in the restricted section of the library or some document in a museum. Just, do vampires exist? Yeah, okay. Then, when she confronts him about it...
Say it.
Why is he behind her like that? Is he Batman? Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess he is. Nothing more romantic than that.
Say it.
Then he shows her how scary he is by showing her that he sparkles in the sun instead of burning. And she's just like... Then he starts jumping around and there's a tree kind of far. This scene is never gonna leave my head now.
I trust you.
Don't.
So now they're in love, I guess. They sit in the woods and just stare at each other for a long time. And I think Edward broke something. Speaking of Edward. Back in Edward's perspective, he's having a bunch of inner turmoil during these events. He keeps going back and forth on if he should just stay away from her, disappear and never see her again, or stay because he's morbidly fascinated by her. He also keeps describing this monster inside him that's like, is the most moody teenager thing I've ever heard. She had hidden in her hair, but I could see that her cheek was a deep crimson now. The monster liked that. Oh no! He keeps talking about how he can't control the monster inside of him when he's with her. And one time he snarls at her. Oh my god. He's just that one scene from The Grinch.
Run for your life before I kill again!
I'm a psycho.
Edward takes Bella to meet his family, and Alice! Yes! I love Alice! Apparently so do a lot of you guys, so I'm very happy we agree. Carlisle's cool too. Then he takes her up to his room.
Why, you have so much music. What are you listening to?
Oh, what's Edward doing? Oh, he's dancing with her. That's kind of cute.
I can't dance.
Well, I could always make you.
You were doing so well. So instead, they decide to climb trees. Then we get some more of Edward moping around, contemplating whether he should kill people. And now we get to the baseball scene. Yippee! I'm not gonna lie, this scene is iconic. The color grading along with the music and sound effects is really nice. And the fact that they use the thunder to cover up how loud the game is because they've got superhuman strength is actually a neat detail. Hey, we've got something kind of cool in Twilight. But then some vampires come and ruin the baseball game. But two of them are actually pretty cool, so it's fine. I'll give Twilight another point. It letting you see that these vampires have red eyes, so you know that they eat people without having to outwardly say it, is pretty cool. It's a really neat way of using show don't tell, I'll admit. But you know what isn't cool? Why are all these vampires hanging around a high school? Logically, I know high school was the demographic Twilight was trying to hit, so the readers could relate to Bella more, I get it. But these 100-year-old vampires are repeating high school every couple of years? Like, they're rich, why don't they go to college a bunch of times? Get a degree, they've got unlimited time. Edward could get a part-time job as a barista or something. All that time he could learn how to make the best coffee ever. Meet a nice adult woman. Not a child, Edward. He even calls her the child and the girl in Midnight Sun. You'd think that after all these years, he'd be a little more mature, right? Do some work on himself. Well, no, apparently Edward is also mentally stuck at 17, so his frontal lobe is permanently undeveloped. I find the idea of a vampire who's incredibly emotionally mature so much more interesting because they've had all this time to really experience the world and learn how to understand other people and to be vulnerable in a way that would be so unique to what they are. And then I remember that I'm watching Twilight. And I feel silly for looking for good relationships. Anyways, barista Edward. Turns out Bella smells really good to all vampires. Another thing I don't think they explain. And this guy tries to take a little bite out of her. So the Cullen family defends her by acting like warrior cats. Now she's got to run away from home because the evil vampires might find Charlie and kill him if she stays here. So they run away and do a whole lot of nothing, if I'm being honest. Then the evil vampire prank calls Bella so bad she decides to go and confront him with only pepper spray. Girl, why did you think that was gonna do something? Why wouldn't you bring like a blowtorch? But don't worry, Edward comes in to save the day. And they kill the evil vampire, but not before he gets a good chomp in. Bella starts turning into a vampire, but Edward sucks the venom out of her. Then he takes her to prom. I love how these two couples felt so awkward that they just left. Bella tells Edward she wants to be a vampire, and Edward says, "No thanks." Bella, do you actually like Edward, or do you just want to be a vampire too?
I think you're lying.
I should probably mention before we move on to New Moon, that back when Twilight was first coming out, Bella was heavily accused of being a Mary Sue. And look, don't let me stop you from creating whatever kind of character you want. I literally have a purple-eyed character named Ellie Genesis. But I just find Bella so funny, because all of the boys immediately are infatuated with her. She has a magical, unexplained ability to repel vampire powers, and has really tasty blood. And Edward literally says how confusing and incomprehensible the workings of her mind were. She must not think in the same way as other humans at all. That must be the explanation behind her mental silence. She was completely other. You could say she's not like other girls? Food for thought. Oh, you also might be asking, where's Jacob in this? Yeah, he's barely in the movie. He's literally only here to tell Bella about the vampires, and then he's gone. Poof. Not to sound like Cotton Eye Joe, but where did he come from and where did he go? I guess we'll find out in... Welcome to Awkward Conversations, the movie.
Maybe I shouldn't be dating such an old man. It's gross.
Oh, biceps.
Well, I'm just filling out, Bella.
So, it's Bella's 18th birthday. She celebrates at the vampire house, but she gets a little paper cut. This causes Jasper to go crazy, and so Edward flings her across the room to keep her safe. Then the Cullens all leave Forks because they've got to go hunt down one of those evil vampires to protect Bella, and because Edward feels guilty. So he does this by lying to her and telling her he doesn't like her. Bella gets really moody and sad about this, so she lays down in the forest, sits on this chair, for months. I will say this is a pretty creative way to translate the book's blank pages with the months on them, but it's still funny. Like, she sat in that chair that long? She is stinky. Charlie tells Bella that she needs to go outside and make some friends and stop screaming in the middle of the night. So she goes out with Jessica, one of her school friends, and sees a weird, shadowy figure of Edward telling her to stay away from this motorcycle gang. But she does it anyway because she learns that when she does dangerous things and puts her life in danger, she's able to see Ghost Edward. Like, Bella's life literally revolves around Edward. It's like her identity is being with him and she has no sense of self. But now that Edward's gone, it's Jacob time. Bella brings this motorcycle to Jacob, asking him to help her fix this motorcycle, and they do that the whole movie. This one motorcycle. But they're having fun, they're having a good time, they're laughing, Bella's smiling. She never did that with Edward. Speaking of which, spooky Edward Ghost is back again, and Bella keeps doing stupid stuff. But just when things were looking up for Jacob, he runs off and disappears for a while, and when Bella sees him again, he cut his hair. No! All his morals went away with his hair. Well, hope you liked nice Jacob, 'cause he's gone. Now he's brooding and running around shirtless. Uh-oh, turns out Jacob is actually a werewolf. What? So now she has to choose between a vampire or a werewolf? T-shirt sales are gonna go through the roof. Edward calls Bella, but Jacob answers the phone and says,
He's not here right now. He's arranging a funeral.
Which he is, but Edward assumes it's Bella's funeral? Not gonna ask any other questions, okay? Also, he's in Rio. So with this, Edward decides to just end it all because he assumes Bella is dead. Because he can't stand the thought of living without her. Even though he left her frontal lobe. So he decides to go glitter in front of a bunch of people and have the, vampire police take him down because you can't show yourself to humans. So Alice and Bella, oh yeah, Alice came back unexpectedly, go to stop Edward from shining bright like a diamond, but the vampire police take them anyway. And?
Life after all. Isn't that wonderful?
He's my favorite character, actually. Michael Sheen is so good in these movies. I feel like he was having a blast, just acting completely unhinged. The vampire police, aka the Volturi, say that they're gonna have to kill Bella because she knows too much, but then Alice is like,
I'll change her myself.
And they just let them leave. Bet you thought the relationships couldn't get any worse.
She's not sure what she wants.
Don't do this here!
So the werewolves and the Cullens are teaming up to fight the remaining evil vampire, which means drama. We also get some vampire backstory. Ooh. We get to learn about how almost all of the Cullens became a vampire, and Edward's is the most tame. He had a disease, so Carlisle bit him, and hey, wait a minute. He doesn't have a bite mark. None of them do. Actually, they don't have fangs. What? No fangs. Don't burn in the sunlight. No bite mark. So they're just pretty pasty immortal people. I'm drawing the vampires with fangs because I want to. So to protect Bella, they gotta move somewhere where the evil vampires won't look. So they go to this snowy mountain, and Bella is freezing to death, but Edward and Jacob are fine because he's hot and he's cold. So Jacob cuddles her while Edward and Jacob actually talk to each other for the first time without Bella, and it's a weird scene.
Protect her. But you can give her a life. A human life. That's all I want for her. Bella.
Edward and Bella get engaged, and then Jacob gets really upset about this and says he's gonna go to the battle and hopefully die because nobody loves him. So Bella kisses him so he doesn't kill himself.
You better stop!
And Edward's just there. Then they beat the evil vampire, and all's well that ends well.
Marry me, Bella.
It wasn't even a question, it was just, marry me.
See ya.
So, I'm not going through all of the Breaking Dawn movies because...
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
Boy golly, is it rough? All you need to know is Bella and Edward get married, there's a CGI baby who hurts me. But hey, at least we get more Arrow. Am I Team Edward or Jacob? I'm Team Nobody. These people don't need a relationship, they need therapy. All of you. So for the drawing, I'm doing Edward and Jacob as the main drawings, of course, and then just some smaller drawings of the different characters and some iconic moments. I particularly like this stinky one and the one where it's the "Where the hell you been, Loca?" I based the Jacob pose after this one picture of him and gave him some wolf ears because I thought it would be pretty funny. I put Alice on the top for all of you on Team Alice. So, have I learned anything about how not to write romance? Yes, I have. And it shall haunt me forever. So, are you Team Edward or Team Jacob? Or maybe someone else entirely? Team Alice? Charlie? Arrow? No, I'm joking. Maybe. Also, yeah, you might have noticed that the speed paint changed a lot in the beginning, and that's because I was originally going to make Twilight pinups, but I couldn't live with myself if I did that. So I thought that these were cuter. It is hard to look up Twilight reference photos while drawing this, because I just kept getting Twilight Sparkle. Which, you know, honestly, I wish I was drawing ponies right now. Wait a minute. Twilight Sparkle? Twilight Sparkle is Edward's pony Sona. Oh no! So if you like this video and you want to see some of my other stuff, I've got a ton of other videos you might like. So thank you so much for sticking around till the end. And I'll see you next year, I guess. I guess that's when my next video is gonna be, huh? So thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye!